Coming up on this episode of Outlook TV, lots of high heels in the Strut Walk.
Talk to him about STIs.
Emerald anniversary celebrations of Empress 10, Olive, and much, much more. Hello and welcome to Outlook TV. I'm Rebecca Wyman.
And I'm Robert Mackay, and you're watching the Queer Magazine news show with the stories that matter the most from coast to coast.
We're going to kick it off in Vancouver, where Skylar goes and checks out some people with very sore feet.
There is no gain without some pain. We're talking about the Strut Walk.
It's the annual Strut Walk. Rain or shine, we're going to do this. We're going to walk a mile in their shoes. The Foundation of Hope has once again put on this amazing event. It's fun. There's heels, there's glam, glitz, and people are just about to start at the start line over there. Let's go check it out.
Proclaimed the month of June 2016 as Strut for LGBT+ Refugees and Newcomers Month in the city of Vancouver.
We're walking a mile for LGBT refugees and newcomers, and wow, a year has really changed things for us around how much money we've given over the last year.
What can we look forward to today?
Well, outrageous hair, makeup, shoes. The other brilliant thing that I'm really excited about is actually we were very intentional to have a broader bridge in our community, not just men in heels, but and we have more people this year, so it's really, really exciting.
We are from I Belong project, so this is a project for LGBTQ newcomers. So we are here to support the Strut and Foundation of Hope. We are one of the charities who got the funding from Foundation of last year. So we are running great programs thanks to Foundation Hope, so we just wanted to show our support.
The Strut is about getting money for refugees who came into the country and all of that. And I'm one of the refugees. I'm from Uganda. Yeah, so that's how I'm getting to be the guest speaker.
I grew up with my auntie and my uncle. They didn't know that I was gay. And they felt proud that they called me their son. Not until when I was 18 and they got to know that I was a gay man. The tables turned. They hated me. They beat me so bad until I was unconscious.
It's fun to be able to support people who are unable to support themselves, and all up and down in our Rainbow Village, we're finding people of all walks and all types. So it's great to be here, and here we go.
The public, seeing people support us and taking photos and just cheering us on, I think is just amazing. And that's what Strut's about. We're in heels, we're walking heels, and we're doing that because we can. Other people, our brothers and sisters in other countries cannot strut in heels. So this is what it's all about.
And the number is $44,958.
Oh, the finish line. Yes, we did it. We walked a mile in someone else's shoes, well, in heels. Congratulations to the Foundation of Hope for putting on another walk. Everyone looked great, no accidents, and we all looked fantastic. For Outlook TV, this is Skylar Bear.
Up next is the Daily Extra from Vancouver.
With Robin.
Hi, I'm Robin Perel, and I'm the editorial director of dailyextra.com, Canada's queer news source. Here are some of the stories we've been following in the last few weeks. The woman accused of burning a pride flag at the University of British Columbia in February pleaded not guilty to mischief on May 17th. Brooklyn Marie Fink admits she burned the pride flag at UBC, but says it wasn't mischief. It was political expression, she says, an act of civil disobedience, not crime. Fink, who is transsexual, says LGBT politics have gone too far towards political correctness. Though she says many individuals are wonderful and many of her friends are queer, she chafes at what she considers the imposition of LGBT politics on her life. Fink says she was just trying to live her life stealth as a woman rather than a trans woman when UBC raised the pride flag for Out Week. For transsexual patients like herself, she says, we don't want anything to do with that. She wishes transgender activists would stop assuming I'm in on their political movement. Fink is scheduled to go to trial next year on the mischief charge. For more on this story, go to dailyextra.com. Trinity Western was back in the headlines last week as the Christian University once again faced off against the BC Law Society over its proposed law school. The Law Society launched this round in court when it appealed the BC Supreme Court's ruling last December. That ruling ordered the Law Society to reinstate its original decision to approve Trinity Western's future law school graduates. The Law Society had initially agreed to approve the grads, then rescinded that approval 6 months later after an outcry from its members. The Law Society is uncomfortable with the covenant that all Trinity Western students have to follow. Among other things, the covenant prohibits sex outside traditional heterosexual marriage. And that's a discriminatory policy, the Law Society says. Telling LGBT students there are plenty of law school seats elsewhere if they don't like the covenant is not right, the BC Law Society told the Court of Appeal on June 3rd. It's like telling Rosa Parks there are plenty of seats at the back of the bus. Trinity Western maintains that it doesn't count as discrimination because the covenant is part of the fabric that holds the religious school's community together. This case is about freedom of religion, a spokesperson for the school told Extra. For more on this story, go to dailyextra.com. As LGBT rights continue to collide with religious freedoms across North America, we asked a few lawyers if they think the two can coexist. Yes, says one constitutional law professor at the University of Alberta. In fact, Eric Adams has issued a plea for peaceful coexistence. He says it's a fundamental error to think one side has to prevail over the other. Find out what he means at dailyextra.com. In national news, Canada's Conservative Party dropped its outdated opposition to same-sex marriage in May at its national convention in Vancouver. The vote, which passed by a wide margin, dropped the party's old policy statement, which read, "We support legislation defining marriage as the union of one man and one woman." Gay conservative activists like Fred Litwin, who lobbied hard within the party for the change, were elated. "From now on, people won't be able to say that conservatives are anti-gay," Litwin told Extra. "It's been the law of Canada for 10 years, he says. Litwin predicts the party's social conservatives won't leave as a result of the vote. It's an empty threat, he says. For more on this story, go to dailyextra.com. And for much more local, national, and international news, go to dailyextra.com and follow our Facebook and Twitter feeds. This is Robin Perel from Daily Extra in Vancouver for Outlook TV.
We're going to have to take a little break now. Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV.
We've got another cracking chapter in the gay agenda with Fred.
For the first time, the pride flag has been raised on Parliament Hill as a symbol of freedom and being inclusive and accepting. So thank you, Mr. Trudeau. And even President Obama has declared June an LGBTQ month. But when you read the online comments, you get some that say, why don't we have a straight parade or a straight flag? Well, nothing is stopping you. Go right ahead, be my guest. Organize a parade or festival to celebrate your straight relationship. No one says that one has to replace another one. It's easy to share the same calendar. In fact, since there are so many more straight people, I'll assume that you'll have a better turnout. But we don't need to compete against each other to celebrate our sexuality. Pride celebrates being gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender, which is defined by whom we love. And that ain't nobody's business but our own. So when you are asked, why do you need a pride parade? You can say, let's make a trade. I'll give you a parade once a year, and you give me the not having to justify why I can't have basic human rights the rest of the year. Sounds fair? Prides are happening all over the world and around the country. It's the only one day that the LGBTQ can rally together with their allies and say, we are united as one community and united by our differences. You know, the first pride parades in the 1980s, some people marched with paper bags over their heads with just little holes in there so they could see. You might think, why even bother? But obviously those people still felt it was important to march. But also important that they don't lose their job. So why do we need a pride parade? 1, it celebrates the LGBTQ community. 2, it honors our short history and our legacy. 3, it honors those people who literally risk their lives protected by only a thin paper bag. 4, it makes sure we are not complacent that LGBTQ rights are human rights. And 5, well, pride parades are fun. So do you want a straight parade? An Asian parade or a black parade? Why not? Life's too short to go around thinking that one has to replace another when we can all celebrate each other. So be proud of who you are, and happy Pride to you. I'm Fred Camperman, and this is my gay agenda.
Just how animated are you? Well, there's a lot of Vancouverites here at the Vancouver Comic Arts Festival. Let's find out.
Comics are all about empathy. You're telling stories so that you can learn what it's like to be someone else or share experiences or that kind of thing. And it's just, we want voices that are unique. We want voices that are diverse. We want voices that can all come together and tell different stories, but also are telling the same story of our global community in a way. So for me, it was just, we want comics to bring something that each the comic next to them doesn't bring.
Reactions from the LGBT community about VanCaf.
I think we've had reactions from the comics community, and a lot of those people can be LGBTQA or anything like that. So we have a lot of great cartoonists who are telling really great stories, and some of them are choosing to be very open about their identities and choosing to share that through comics. And I think they like knowing that VanCaf is a place where that is welcome and where audiences actually actively want to hear that. They really want to seek it out.
I like to do sex education comics that really break down how sex ed works and does it in a really friendly, funny, accessible way, and lots of jokes so people feel like they're included in the conversation instead of being lectured at. And I also do sex toy reviews, and I interview sex workers, and I write about going to sex events, just kind of like the whole wide world of sex, and I take it and I put it into comics, and I just put a lot of jokes in there. What is it like being a queer person making comics? I can't compare it to anything else because I've always been a queer person making comics. I guess it gives me more of an eye for being somebody who wanted to see queer representation, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to make that. So I'm a bit more conscious about trying to include a lot of different identities and a lot of different body sizes and a lot of different orientations, and so I try to make it as inclusive as I'm humanly capable of.
It comes off so naturally and so like, well, of course, like this is just...
For a lot of us, we're really interested in letting younger readers know that they're, valid, that they can see themselves reflected in characters or stories. That's really important to me personally. And it's really interesting to talk about queer representation, especially at this point in history. I'm from the States. There's a whole thing going on with transgender Americans right now. And to see that reflected in the lives of my readers who are reading a comic with a lot of trans and non-binary characters, I feel like I'm putting a little something towards this bigger cultural movement that's sorely, sorely needed. I feel like with independent comics, the changes are being made by queer individuals themselves, and they're able to make an impact through their own works in a way that just doesn't get as much inertia in mainstream, on a mainstream level. Because when you're in DC, Marvel, some of these bigger companies, you have to deal with this whole infrastructure, rely on having mass appeal. And with the infrastructure in place for independent cartoonists, platforms like Kickstarter, Patreon, being able to make a living or disseminate your work on your own without the need of any distributors or publishers, that's a radical change in the structure of comics, and it's been extremely helpful for all marginalized creators, not just LGBT, who may not have the same fair shake in the traditional comic structure.
From the Roundhouse Community Center at the Vancouver Comic Arts Festival, this is Gareth C.J. Reed for OutlookTV.
Up next, fourth in a 5-part series, Talk to Him.
JP gives us STIs. He's a real giver, that one.
The Health Initiative for Men, or HIM, is based in downtown Vancouver. They provide health services for men ranging from emotional, sexual and mental health. Today we're talking to HIM about STIs.
A lot of STIs are asymptomatic, and if you're looking for things like discharge or a sore and thinking, oh, I don't have those, therefore I don't think I have any STIs, know that STIs can and frequently are asymptomatic, and the only way to be sure is to go and get tested. And just, remember that if you are a sexually active adult, then you are at risk for an STI. So in Vancouver, for example, right now, we have a pretty significant 30-year high syphilis outbreak. So I would certainly say syphilis is something to be aware of in Vancouver at the moment, as in many cities across North America, Canada, and the world. That said, HPV, human papillomavirus, is probably the most common across the entire population. It spreads very, very easily. Men and women are both at risk. Gay, straight are at risk. Beyond that, gonorrhea, certainly, chlamydia, herpes, yeah, many, many STIs that are pretty common throughout the population. I would say the best way to protect yourself from STIs is to not rely on any one factor or method, and instead think about all of it as a combination. So we know, for example, that condoms can help protect against STIs if you're using them in anal sex. But we also know that a lot of guys aren't going to use condoms for oral sex. So while you might be protecting yourself from contracting or transmitting an STI by using a condom for anal sex, you could be exposed to that same STI through oral sex. You could even be exposed to that same STI if an individual touched his genitals with his hands, then used his hands to touch your genitals. So even something like mutual masturbation, which a lot of people would think of as a really, really low risk activity, yeah, it's low risk, but it still carries some risk for STI transmission. These are just organisms, just like any other organism, that can create conditions for an illness or a disease to occur. And, you know, don't have any shame about going to get tested. Don't have any shame if you have to contact a partner and let them know that you have received a positive STI diagnosis. And for those of us who've gotten that call that they might have been exposed to a possible STI, don't ever react with that blaming that the other individual had done something to put you intentionally at risk, or that an other individual is somehow dirty, or, you know, that they are the ones that deserve blame. Frankly, they're doing the right thing. They're calling you, letting you know that you should go in and get tested and get treatment.
For more information on this topic and many more, you can check it all out at the HIM website. I'm John Paul Payne in Vancouver for OutlookTV.
It's time for us to take another little break now.
Yeah, because the last one was so 10 minutes ago.
Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV.
Up next, the prestigious Auden Award is bestowed upon one of our own, Paul Wong, video artist.
We're here with Vancouver's pioneering queer visual artist and this year's Auden Award winner, Paul Wong.
You know, my work has been about everyday life. Those things that are immediate to me, friends, family, and life's problems, issues, and joys that I'm curious about. So my work has been a constant journey of curiosity, asking and probing into things that pass by. In March of this year, you know, I was pleasantly shocked and surprised to be the recipient of the Dane Prize, a Lifetime Achievement Award in the Visual Arts. It's an annual award with $30,000 that's given in recognition to a BC artist for their contribution to the visual arts. So for me to get recognized came quite as a surprise, because I have quite an eclectic practice. You know, I do small things, medium things, large things. A lot of my stuff is very ephemeral. It's video, it's performance, it's installations, it's stuff that's not necessarily done specifically for the kind of gallery or museum world. It goes into film festivals, community engagements, off-the-grid kind of places, and on the internet.
What is it you're working on now?
At this very moment, in the last month, I've unearthed 25 years of color slides. Of those 20,000 slides, 19,500 of them are mine. I shot them. And I just happen to have in there this collection of 250 found slides. I remember these slides well. I had put them aside, I had looked at them, and I was originally attracted to them because they showed a very glamorous young Asian man and Asian family and others. In 1959, the slides start, to 1964, having a really fabulous life. Looking great, looking really fashion forward, driving great cars, and obviously he was a hairstylist doing amazing local and international hair shows.
What would you like your legacy to be?
I'm really grateful for the people who have taken their time out to embrace me and my work. And if I've been able to create a shift or provide someone with a new perspective or to empower a viewer, that's been successful.
And now we're going to take you to the Emerald Anniversary celebration of Empress 10 Olive.
And for you gemologists out there, the 35th anniversary is your Emerald Anniversary.
It's a biggie.
We're at the Junction nightclub in Vancouver for a very special celebration. Empress Olive is celebrating 35 years as Empress 10 of Vancouver.
This afternoon, the Knights of Malta are celebrating Olive's 35th anniversary as Empress. But it's not just that, we're also celebrating all the years that she's been helping out in the community and fundraising, helping out the GVNCS, the Rhinestone Phoenix, the DMS, and all the other nonprofit societies around Vancouver. We made Olive a Grand Dame 5 years ago, so she is now a permanent member of the Knights of Malta. We have been in existence now for 33 years. We're celebrating 33 years this year. And we basically fundraise for nonprofit societies.
Homelessness and poverty in a country of our stature is obscene.
Take us back to the ball, your stepping down ball.
We were allowed to sell 1,100 tickets, so we sold 1,100 tickets, and then we printed up another set of 1,100 tickets and given those out. Cablevision was there filming, and it was the first year that that happened. And people would go in and do interviews and that kind of stuff. I actually was coronated at Dee Drew's, the Empress 9's stepping down ball, which was called Citizens of the World. And my stepping down ball was called Toys the Visual, to let people out of their horror-stricken worlds in '81.
Miss Olive throws a party with the Knights of Malta, and everybody's here in town.
Olive's Ball 35 years ago was the first thing that I attended when I came to Vancouver. Had a marvelous time, and we've actually been friends ever since.
Fantastic.
So, a lot of charity work together, and obviously we're here for the Knights of Malta.
Oh, I've been a friend of Olive's for 20, 25 years now, I guess. She's really good. To me, she's a great entertainer, great performer. She also does a lot of charity stuff that people don't know about, but I think she's a very dynamic person, actually.
For Outlook TV, this is Angus Pratt at the Junction nightclub in Vancouver.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this edition of Outlook TV, but you know we're going to be back.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and if you'd like to volunteer with us, shoot us an email.
We're so much fun.
We're the best.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Rebecca Wyman.
And I'm Robert Mackay.
Stay fabulous, Canada.